Champions for Hire.
Welcome back to Champions for Hire. I'm Matthew Perry, and with RJ Strope and Will Polston, we have some NFL news for you today. Tim Tebow has signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars as a tight end, raising eyebrows to many players, analysts, and fans alike. Many people are questioning the signing of Tim Tebow. He's now 33 years old, hasn't played in the NFL in, I want to say, 8 or 9 years. And, the baseball career didn't work out, and now he's trying a football comeback as a tight end, not as a quarterback, not the position he won national championships with in college or even a Heisman, but a tight end. Urban Meyer, of course, was his head coach at the University of Florida. He reunites with him at Jacksonville. Many people have mixed feelings on this, and myself, as well as the boys with me, figured we'd give our opinions on the matter, since it is making headlines, not only in the NFL, but in all of sports. Will, I'll start with you. Just generally, what are your thoughts on Jacksonville signing Tim Tebow?
This is stupid in every way, shape, and form. I think this is a dumb publicity stunt at this point. I think this is a absolutely horrible move. A guy who hasn't played tight end at an elite level, whether it be college, whether it be professional, anything such as that. I understand he's got the body type for it, 6'3", 255. He's a decent sized guy, and he can fit in if he can catch and do all the proper training and everything. But at the end of the day, you're a 33-year-old washed-up veteran that is now taking the spot of a 22-year-old kid or a 20-year-old kid trying to fight his way onto the roster. This is ridiculous. This is just a publicity stunt by the Jags. And if he gets playing time, I will be thoroughly shocked.
Okay. Very, very adamant, very straightforward. I like the answer. Before I share my thoughts, RJ, let's get yours.
I would like to sit here and say that I have a strong feeling either way here. I get what Will is saying. This is a guy, Tim Tebow, that's 33 years old, has never played the tight end position, hasn't been in the league for 8 or 9 years, and now he comes in, reunites with his college head coach. I don't think this is a publicity stunt at all, honestly. Urban Meyer has got a shot in the NFL now. This is his first NFL job. He's now a head coach. Why not bring your guy? I mean, those two have got to be as close as any player-coach combination I've probably ever seen in college or the NFL. Urban Meyer loves Tim Tebow. I think he's going to bring him in. He's going to give him a shot, see if he can be a tight end. Now, I know he's signed as a tight end. I personally don't think he's ever going to take a snap as a real tight end. I get it. He's, 6'3", 250. For me, when I see Tim Tebow, I think Taysom Hill. I think this is a guy that you can just use so many different ways. If you want to line him up at tight end and have him go catch a pass, let's see if he can do it. And that's what training camp is for, and we will find out. If you want to do some crazy stuff, have 2, maybe even 3 quarterbacks on the field with Gardner Minshew, do something crazy, get the defense, scared. This is a great player to do something like that with. I can't think that this is a publicity stunt, because they went out and drafted Trevor Lawrence, who was the most popular player in college football. He's, recognizable. Everyone knows him. So it's not like the Jaguars needed the publicity or needed the press or anything like that. Everyone's already got their eyes on the Jaguars. This, to me, is more about the relationship between Urban Meyer and Tim Tebow.
I'd say I'm more down your path, RJ, than Will. It doesn't enrage me. Obviously, I'm a Tim Tebow super fan. He's one of my favorite football players of all time. Do I think it was the right decision for the Jaguars to sign him? Partially, because there's some good and some bad here. I can't say this was all for athletics. I do think he'll put butts in the chairs at the stadium. Do I think that Tim Tebow will see a snap at tight end? Maybe. We saw him years and years ago when he was in the NFL run some wildcat stuff, and he couldn't really catch then. But like you said, RJ, that's what training camp's for, and hopefully they go under an extensive training with him and get him, actually ready to go. It's low risk for the Jaguars. We don't know the details of the contract yet. I don't think we know the the dollars involved. But it doesn't seem like a high risk thing because even if he doesn't start, he's a member of the team. Will, I know you mentioned taking a spot away from a 22-year-old training camp guy. I mean, sometimes that's the business. You know, it does, unfortunately, sometimes go deeper than performance and on-field stuff. It's a business. Money needs to be made, and I think Tebow could definitely do that. Like we all agreed on, you know, it's his college coach. He grew up in Jacksonville or in that general area. He knows the city knows and loves him. And what I've seen publicly, which doesn't sit right with me, is that a lot of people are targeting Tebow and calling him the bad guy for taking the spot away from the training camp kid or you know, trying to steal a spot or steal a spotlight. This isn't on Tebow in any way, shape, or form. This is on the Jaguars. They did not have to sign Tebow. Tebow tried his best. Tebow's following his dream. As much as this dream changes from a quarterback to a outfielder in baseball to now a tight end, he's just trying to live this dream out. And I got to respect that. I mean, I think any of us, especially us at this age, I mean, you're trying to get somewhere in life and you're going to try your hardest to do that. Tim Tebow did that. He ran the routes. He sent the tape. He got the tryout and eventually got signed. It's not on him at all. The Jaguars didn't have to sign him. And if anyone should be mad at anybody, it would be the Jaguars organization, which I guess we'll move to this next point. Twitter, of course, has sounded off on all of this, both players, as mentioned, and systemic racism has came up with Tebow being a white man and Colin Kaepernick still being out of the NFL and Tim Tebow getting a spot. I just want to hear your guys' thoughts on that whole piece, because to me, it doesn't really add up. I think they're two completely different things. But RJ, I'll start with you. What do you think about the link between Tebow's signing and Kaepernick still not being in the NFL?
I think it's very sad. I think it's very ignorant to sit here and, what's the word? Connect these two players. Colin Kaepernick does not want to be in the NFL. We need to establish this. Colin Kaepernick is writing books, and he is so much more famous now than he ever was as an NFL player. And the reasoning is because he feels that, well, I don't know if he feels, and he's probably correct, he was blackballed by NFL owners. He is being left out because of his viewpoints and how they don't align with the viewpoints of NFL ownership. That is his persona. That is his character right now. We're wrestling fans. Colin Kaepernick's character, his gimmick right now, is the unemployed black man that has the world against him, and everyone hates me, and everyone's racist towards me. That's his character. If he was signed by an NFL team, that is a complete 180 of what his character is, because then he would have a job. Then it's proven that an owner did not blackball him. Now he is actually getting a chance to do what he says he doesn't get the chance to do anymore. That goes against his character. You cannot tell me, whoever Colin Kaepernick's manager, agent, whatever is, you cannot tell me that that man wants Colin Kaepernick to be back in the NFL. Because if Colin Kaepernick goes back to the NFL and is a backup quarterback, because I personally don't think that there's a starting spot in the league for him. If he is a backup quarterback, you are irrelevant. Can anybody name more than 10 backup quarterbacks in the NFL right now? Now, we love the NFL. We might be able to get 10, but the average fan probably can't name the backup quarterback in their hometown city, okay? If Colin Kaepernick goes back to the NFL and becomes a backup quarterback, he becomes irrelevant. Now, he's not in Nike commercials. He's not on Good Morning America. No one cares what he says on Twitter, because now he is employed and he has been given a shot. He's just not good enough to start and be the man that people think he really is. So to sit here and try to link Colin Kaepernick to Tim Tebow, it really kind of pisses me off, because Tim Tebow is 33 years old. This man won a Heisman Trophy, 2 national championships. He won a playoff game as a starting quarterback of the Denver Broncos. He went on it was at home, but he beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay. And the only reason he didn't get to start the very next year is because Denver went out and signed a guy named Peyton Manning. If Peyton Manning, if he had decided to go somewhere else, Tim Tebow would have been back with Denver the following year, and we would have seen if he could maintain that success or if that run was a fluke. The last time we saw Tim Tebow as a starting quarterback in the NFL, he won a playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. This guy, an elite college player, won a playoff game, worked for ESPN doing SEC Nation, College Game Day, stuff like that. The guy was very good on camera. Honestly, I think he should have stuck with that because I think he has a very long future in front of a camera. The guy goes and plays for the Mets. He's written books. He does, speeches and stuff. This guy absolutely does not need money. Why did he go sign with the Jacksonville Jaguars? Because he is pursuing a dream. This man wants to play in the NFL. If he can't play in the NFL as a quarterback, he will play in the NFL at any position you want him. This man is trying to live his dream. Colin Kaepernick is not. Colin Kaepernick is making millions of dollars off of being the guy that was blackballed by the NFL. These two are not anywhere close to being the same person.
A lot of good points in there. A lot of good points. You covered a lot of ground, RJ. Will, do you have any different thoughts? Because I'd say we're all in a similar boat on this one, I think, based on what we've discussed. But do you have anything else different to add?
Man, if Colin Kaepernick wanted to be in the NFL, he would have taken a position at running back like a lot of scouts were doing. A lot of people offered him to be a running back. A lot of people were talking to him about being a big-bodied back. He'd be 6'4", 230 at the running back position, which is massive. Which I think at 230 is easily in the top 25% of weights for running backs in the league. You're going to be one of the bigger bruising backs in the league. And he said he didn't want to do that. In fact, in that tryout that he had in front of all those teams, he refused to run. Why? That's the thing that got you to the NFL. You weren't known for your arm. You were known for your mobility. So I understand where RJ's coming from in that sense. But at the same time, if he was hired, yes, you lose a lot of that publicity. But Colin Kaepernick at his peak was drawing. He was drawing a lot of people. If you really want to do a publicity stunt and it's really for business, bring in Colin Kaepernick. Guarantee you're going to sell seats. Maybe not as many. There's going to be people who are going to push back, but there's also going to be a lot of people who are going to come forward if you come and sign somebody like Colin Kaepernick. So I get where it's at. I understand why he's not in the league, but I don't understand the correlation between Tebow and Kaepernick. Tebow had a lot going for him. Tebow could have been on ESPN like he was doing. He could have been an analyst. He was doing great. Honestly, like RJ said, I enjoyed listening to Tim Tebow whenever he was on there on College Game Day showing up, whenever he was in there on ESPN doing analyst. He's honestly entertaining from that aspect. But how many dreams does this guy get to have? If this guy wanted to be in the NFL, why wasn't he in the NFL after 2012? If your dream was to be in the NFL, all of a sudden your dream was to be in the MLB. Well, now your dream's to be in the NFL again. Pick one. Like, what do you want to do, Tim Tebow? Like, are you going to go play baseball? Okay, well, or are you going to go play football? Okay, well, you failed at that. Now you're going to go play baseball. Oh, well, you failed at that. So now you're going to resort back to football. Like, what are you doing? The one thing you succeeded at and was amazing at was being an analyst, and you dipped. Like, pick something. Like, Urban Meyer is going to do the same exact thing with his heart issues. As soon as the Jaguars start losing, he's going to be like, oh, man, I can't do this, stress the NFL, yada, yada, dip out. What? No wonder these two get along so well. They're boneless. Like, they have no backbone. Like, pick something and stick with it. Why are you sitting here flip-flopping around? Now you're 33 years old. You're well past your prime. Now you're trying a brand new position you've never done before. If you want to use him as a gadget player like Taysom Hill, and he's in as much as Taysom Hill is, then I'll shut my mouth. But right now, he is signed as a tight end with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Somebody else is losing their job, all for the fact that they could sell seats for having the hometown kid connected with his old college coach, and he might not even make the roster. Like, and it's one of those, at the end of the day, it just doesn't make any sense for me unless he's going to be guaranteed on that team and see field time a lot. And otherwise, it just does not make sense.
Matt, you can go, but You keep saying he's taking someone's spot. If you're a 22-year-old tight end and you've played tight end in high school and you played tight end in college, and now you're in the NFL as a tight end, and you can't outperform a 33-year-old quarterback who's never played tight end, I don't think the NFL's for you, bud. So I don't buy that Tim Tebow's taking someone else's roster spot. If you can't prove that you're better than Tim Tebow, you don't need to be in the league anyway.
You're not wrong, but whenever you make a signing like this, obviously the intention for Tebow is not to have him play tight end. There's no way that they signed him going, this is our tight end. This is the guy who's going to take us over. That's not what they're doing. At this point, a guy who has worked his ass off to get to this point is going to lose his job because they want this guy to bring in tickets and they want this guy to have the name connection with Urban Meyer. Wow. That's where I'm getting annoyed by it, because it's not like I can almost promise you that kid that worked his way up and he's on the practice squad. I guarantee you that guy's a better tight end than Tim Tebow. I can almost promise you that. I don't know where Tim Tebow is going to come off from and all of a sudden can start running routes, start blocking, all of a sudden is a better tight end than this kid. And that's where I'm confused, because somebody will probably most likely get cut from the practice squad or get cut from the roster, all because they need to find a spot for Tim Tebow now. And that's ridiculous.
Well, okay, so a few notes. One, there's no guarantee that Tim Tebow makes it through this contract. There's no guarantee that he's even there by week 1. Things happen in football. There could be injury. There could be I don't want to call it a buyout, but there is a chance that Tim Tebow does not make the opening week 1 roster. 2, there's no denying that Tim Tebow is a hard worker. Yes, he moves around from passion to passion, call it what you want, quite often, I guess you could say. But the fact that he's able to find opportunities at such a high level, it's not like he just came in, overweight, not trying, and got that contract. I mean, from what I've heard, he's worked really hard to become a tight end and trying to change his complete style of play. He's been out of football for 8 years. You got to get back into it. Of course, he's been watching it, but it's a whole different animal playing the sport, and he earned it. Going back to the Kaepernick thing, because I didn't really get to touch on that. Kaepernick did have a tryout for 20-plus teams, I want to say. And yeah, he'd be, like you guys said, he'd be in the NFL if he wanted to be. Tebow knew what he was going for. He wanted the Jaguars, and he got them. He didn't have a whole showing and make a whole publicity stunt. There are similarities between Kaepernick. They're both bigger quarterbacks and could fit in other positions, like we see Tebow as a tight end, and like Will, you said, Kaepernick being a running back. And they're both polarizing figures. They have plenty of fans and plenty of haters, and both can sell tickets, like you said, Will. I'm really just touching your points at this point. But point that he can do some good for this team, whether he plays or not. I know you don't like the idea of him taking a roster spot away, but RJ made a good point about it. If this tight end, who had been a tight end his entire career, isn't outplaying Tebow, then there's something wrong with that tight end. I mean, this will be Tim Tebow's first true year as a tight end. I highly doubt he played any tight end in high school. He didn't play any in college. We saw that. This at that point, it's on the kid. I mean, you got to outwork someone who's 11 years older than you. I don't think Tim Tebow was going to get any special treatment. He's never been that kind of guy. Did they treat him any special in his first NFL stint? No, he was out there making practice squads towards the end with the Eagles and the Patriots. That wasn't anything special. He didn't make those teams. I think his comeback now it won't be any different. They're going to treat him as they should, like an equal, or at least they should treat him as an equal, like they did in his first stint. I don't think baseball has anything to do with this. I don't think being an analyst has anything to do with this. He was a great analyst, but you see, that's something people do after they retire. If Tebow doesn't think he's done yet, then that's him. That's him. He's going to go keep doing what he's doing until he thinks he can't anymore. That's always been his attitude. That's always been his mantra, his goal. And we see him doing it. I don't know. I'm a Tebow fan. I'm biased, but I'm proud of what he's doing, just because I think he's setting a good example to not give up, and that's something that I think a lot of people can get behind, whether you think it's good for football or not. I'm very happy to see Tebow doing what he's doing, and I hope he's happy with it, obviously. But I understand that some people won't be happy about it. But I guess we'll have to see where it goes, really.
You make a great point when you say that Tim Tebow didn't get that special treatment and stuff his first go round, but the level that Tim Tebow has of a following from 2012 to 2021 has significantly increased.
I agree.
Between writing books, between being an analyst, between now MLB, you have such a bigger following now that, like I said, again, I'm completely with you guys that the 22-year-old kid that can't beat out a 33-year-old guy who's never played tight end should not be on a roster. I get that. But at what point, you don't just bring in a contract, you don't bring in a guy like Tim Tebow with the fact that be like, oh, we'll have him run a couple routes. If he sucks, we'll cut him. Like, there's something else behind this. There's got to be something else behind this. And this is why I said with RJ, if he's going to be a Taysom Hill gadget player and he's going to be on the field a lot, I'll shut my mouth. Congrats to Tim Tebow. If you make it back to the league at the age of 33 after a 9-year stint doing a completely different position, hats off to you, man. I owe you all the respect. But right now, like you said, Matt, I have no reason to be mad at Matt or not mad at Tebow. I have all the reason to be mad at the Jacksonville Jaguars, because at this point, to me, it just comes off as a publicity stunt. And I understand they don't need publicity because of Trevor Lawrence, but you can't tell me bringing in somebody like Tim Tebow hasn't gotten their name back out there, hasn't brought back more fans. You're going to start seeing UF fans come back. He's from Jacksonville. He's connection with Urban Meyer. Everything lines up perfectly for him to come back to the Jaguars of all teams, yes. But you also can't tell me the hometown kid who's one of the biggest guys to ever come out of Jacksonville isn't going to bring in more seats to Jacksonville. And that's where I just get a little bit irritated about it, because it's obviously going to be a positive move financially for your organization, no matter what you're going to pay Tim Tebow, no matter if he plays or not. People were still going to minor league Mets games to watch him go 0 for 4 or 4Ks just because, he batted, 212 in the minors. Yeah, he popped an occasional home run. Congrats. If you were at that game, you had a great time. But the Mets were still selling minor league tickets, and more than usual, just because Tim Tebow was there. He didn't even need to be in the lineup. Just from the fact that Tim Tebow is on the roster, you're going to go. And there are fans like that. Tim Tebow has that kind of following, and that's why the Jacksonville Jaguars, from a business standpoint, I get it. But at a point, for me, that just comes off as selling out, and I don't appreciate that.
Well, I think both of y'all made a couple good points there. This is what I'm saying about, Will, if he's coming in to be a real tight end, then I think Jacksonville's making a big mistake. I think you have to use him to his strengths, and I really see him as a Taysom Hill type guy. I think he can do a bunch of different things. You run him, he can throw. Let's see if he can catch. We'll see. This is a Taysom Hill move. This isn't, we're going to sign a tight end. No, not really. You can call him a tight end. To me, this has to be more of a Taysom Hill type player. Maybe they brought him in just so one of the young quarterbacks on the roster doesn't, think they're losing their job or whatever. I don't know. I really don't know why the Jags brought him in, honestly. I do think it would be cool if they used him like the Saints used Taysom Hill. But Matt, you mentioned the word polarizing, and Tim Tebow is absolutely polarizing. If nothing else, he is polarizing. So I've had this take for a while, actually. I think Tim Tebow, Colin Kaepernick, and Johnny Manziel are actually all good enough to be backup quarterbacks in the NFL. I think the big problem is most franchises, most head coaches, most general managers don't want the most famous person on the team to be the backup quarterback. So if we're talking about why Tim Tebow's been out of the league for 9 years, I think that has a huge, huge impact on that. I think it has a huge impact on why Colin Kaepernick's not in the league. I know I went on my rant about Cap not wanting to be in the league, but I also think teams are a little hesitant to sign him because of the media storm that's going to come with it. Apparently, Jacksonville was all right with the media storm that comes with signing Tim Tebow. I'm still waiting on someone to give Johnny Manziel a call. What's up? But Tim Tebow getting this chance, I think Jacksonville knows they have their star in Trevor Lawrence. There's no question, about who's going to play quarterback. I think Gardner Minshew was actually a pretty decent quarterback, and I think he should be the backup. And I don't really think there should be a debate about that. Apparently, they are comfortable enough with the quarterback room. They decided to bring Tebow in. He's, again, we've touched on it already. He's so close with Urban Meyer. Urban can, kind of control the noise and downplay everything and all that. That to me, when you mentioned polarizing, Matt, that is absolutely the perfect word for Tim Tebow, because I think because of how big of a star he is and how polarizing he is, I think that is actually the main thing that kept him out of the league for 9 years.
Well, I mean, it's a fair point. It's a fair assumption that that kind of, I don't want to call it energy, but energy towards a player can keep someone out of the league. I don't want to call it negative energy, but the feedback and the return that that football fans give Kaepernick is a lot different than Manziel's and Tebow's. Tebow, it's similar to what Will was saying about how, I don't know, it almost feels like an entitlement, taking the spoon out of a baby's mouth almost. And then Manziel's, it's just, the partying kind of wild. It reminds me of like Shia LaBeouf, if we're talking movies or anything like that. I don't know. That's like the closest comparison I have to it. He's just kind of reckless. And Manziel, he was in like the CFL, I think, for a second, and I don't think he did anything there. So I don't know about him being a backup now, but I definitely see where you're coming from regarding polarizing figures and attitudes and return towards a player. But all three of those have definitely different returns, similar in the sense that
absolutely
it's a lot of return. There's a lot of feedback towards them. They get people going. Provocative is a good term for that. But very, very different. Before we head out, Will, do you have anything else you want to add to this?
No, I mean, the thing is, I mean, I've basically hit up on everything that I need to hit up on. I mean, it's just one of those things to where it just doesn't, I don't get it. Like I said, I understand all the stars align for it. It is what it is, but I don't understand this. If this was going to be my thing is, and I was talking to RJ about this, if this is going to be a situation where he comes out, he tries it, he sucks, he gets cut, they would have signed him. It would have came out and they would have said that they signed him to the practice squad. That's not what the headlines are saying. It's saying that Tim Tebow has been signed to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, that doesn't guarantee you a roster spot, by any means. He's still going to have to work his way onto the roster, but it's still one of those to where it's not like they're saying, nobody came out and said, hey, this guy's going to start in the practice squad or this guy's going to have to work to get in. And if that's the case, here's the thing. If he's going to be a tight end in the NFL, let's just say we're sticking to the tight end spot, not going gadget, we're going tight end. If he's going to be a tight end, assuming he's not going to be above James O'Shaughnessy, I'm assuming he's going to be the backup tight end. And if that's the case, I better see that guy on special teams. I better see that guy working punts and kickoffs. I don't want any special treatment for Tim Tebow. If he's going to come back here and he's going to sign a contract to be in the NFL, you better be in the NFL. You're not Tim Tebow anymore. You're officially just a guy on the Jacksonville Jaguars. You're the backup tight end on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Play as such. You better be on punt returns. You better be on kick returns. You better be on the kickoff team. Like, you better be there on special teams to be and actually play your role. I better see you blocking. You better not just be a receiving tight end. Okay. And everything else. Like, I better see Tim Tebow doing everything a tight end should be doing. Otherwise, until then, to me, this is just a publicity stunt. And this is just a way to get more, asses to seats in Jacksonville. And I mean, if that's what you're going to do, why don't you go out and sign a big name player that actually has played football in the last decade? So with that being said, I'm good. I'm wrapped up.
All right. RJ, anything else?
Yeah, I agree with that, Will. If he's going to be just a backup tight end or a third string tight end, he's going to have to play special teams. Now, can either one of y'all picture Tim Tebow playing special teams? Because I know I can't. And that's why I just don't see him actually being a real tight end. I just think they're going to use him like the Saints use Taysom Hill. I think that's the smart way to use him, and I think that's how they're going to use him. The only question for me now is, what number does Tim Tebow get? Because Gardner Minshew's number 15, and Minshew Mania is not giving up his number. And you can't give Tebow number 5 because the boat, Blake Bortles, was number 5. You can't just be out here giving his
Up in the
number
Raptors,
away.
baby.
That's what I'm saying. You want to talk about Blake Bortles led them to an AFC championship game. You can't just be out here giving his number away. So stay tuned.
Yeah, Tim Tebow hasn't done a damn thing for the Jaguars yet. Give that boy 88 and tell him to suck it up. Work his way to a jersey number.
Well, jersey numbers, the guidelines for that did change moving into this year, so it'll be interesting to see what number he gets. Bleacher Report, they did his jersey swap. I think they gave him like 85 or something. But there's still plenty of questions. Will Tim Tebow get reps at tight end? Will we see him get a play under snap as a quarterback? Will he even make the team? Who knows? But as the NFL season inches closer, we're now just a couple months away from training camp and then eventually the regular season, where we'll have our normal football content, our pick'ems, our news, our stuff like that. So stay tuned with us on Tebow and football updates. But for Will Polston and RJ Strope, I've been Matthew Perry. We've been the GMs for Hire, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.